Welcome back, everyone. This week we will be taking a two-part look at the preseason testing at Bahrain and discuss how the race starts may both look and sound different this season. Let us get those turbos spoiled and dump the clutch as we go on the track for the preseason testing in Bahrain 2026. For our first story this week, reports from those on the track in Bahrain, or even if you were lucky enough to catch it on a TV, the practice test starts looking significantly different than what we have been used to. For those like me who are stuck with the Apple TV for this next season, reports from the track are that these new power units take close to 10 seconds to spool the turbo before enough boost is built to allow the car to launch with sufficient power. The FIA was aware of this possibility as a result of the MGU-H getting axed, which we talked about in greater detail last week as early as last year. When you mate a large turbo to a small motor, turbo lag is nothing more than a foregone conclusion. Last year, the FIA even proposed a change to the starting procedure to allow the cars more time to spool the turbos before the lights go out. However, Ferrari vetoed this proposal last year, but reports also indicate that this proposal will be revised before Melbourne in a few weeks. My suggestion? Let the teams use anti-lag like in the WRC. All the pops and bangs. Now for our part one of our main story this week, preseason testing in Bahrain. All 11 teams met last week for 3 days of testing. Bahrain is a great track for testing as it quickly identifies weaknesses with a car, whether it be lack of downforce, slow medium corners, or straight line speed. Purely in alphabetical order, let us see how the teams did. We got a better look at Alpine's innovative rear wing in Bahrain this week, with the team completing 318 laps, 9th overall. The team reporting a gain of nearly 1 second between Wednesday and Friday, which marks significant improvement for this practice season. Gasly set the team's fastest time on Friday with a 1:34.806. The team, while having some early electrical problems, continued to focus on reliability and the integration of their new power unit. As for Alpine's rear wing, while the rest of the team's rear wings activate their reduced drag mode by opening the front of the flap, Alpine's rear wing moves the rear of the flap downwards, creating what is effectively a single element flat wing. Is one better than the other? For that, we will have to wait and see for who copies who. Aston Martin arrived in Bahrain with the second least number of laps under their belt after the 2026 shakedown week, behind only Williams, who did not even make it to Spain. Things never got better for Honda, powered by Newey design, and Fernando may have to wait yet another year for a competitive car. Trust Le Pen, anyone? Completing 206 laps, the fewest laps of any team over the 3 days, and with the time deficit about 4 seconds, it might be quite some time before we get to see Fernando on the podium again. The question then becomes, where do the problems lie? Well, according to BBC's analysis of GPS data, the Honda power unit is responsible for about 1.5 seconds of that deficit, leaving the rest of the team's catch up squarely on Newey's shoulders. Audi brought a significant different car to Bahrain from what we saw at Barcelona, adding 353 laps to their total, the fifth of any team. Their lap time as still 2.6 seconds behind the pace and the seventh fastest overall. Bahrain marked a significant improvement for the team as the drivers focused on reliability and integration of the new power unit. Team principal Jonathan Wheatley stated that he felt that the team was coming together after a clunky start. Then there were those vertical side pods on the car this past week, something not seen on any other entry so far for this year. Personally, they gave me a very Ferrari 640 vibe that I am glad to see return. Remember when I said that Bahrain track identifies a car's shortcomings? Well, it seems that Cadillac's 2026 entry lacks a considerable amount of downforce compared to the other teams. This was perhaps best exemplified by Sergio going off track at turn 10 on the first day. Putting in more laps than Aston Martin, Mercedes, and Alpine, the US-based team completed roughly 320 laps as the team continues to work on reliably and balancing off the car. Cadillac plans on using the next practice session to shift their focus on performance as the team was behind all but Aston Martin. Interestingly, Cadillac's front wing caught the attention of much of the paddock as their end plates seemingly create outlash for which the 2026 regulations aim to reduce. Many have stated that this design element may be a high-risk interpretation of the regulations. We will keep our eye on this story as it continues to develop. Lewis Hamilton set the second fastest time on Friday, a 1:34.209 in his Ferrari, which was still a half a second behind his former team Mercedes. The Italian team looked confident as it completed the third most laps at 420. With both drivers were able to run in the 1:34.2s, I will repeat what I said during our video on the Shakedown Week 2026, that Ferrari will be the dark horse of this season. For this, 2026 has been relatively trouble-free for Ferrari and their engine customers, which bodes well for Hamilton and Leclerc. Ferrari also brought a new front wing, and ESPN reports that they also brought a smaller turbo to combat lag. If I wanted a high skates bet for this season, I might just put some money on Ferrari for this year. Haas also completed a significant number of laps at 390, just behind Ferrari. That means with all three Ferrari-powered teams combined completed 1,130 laps over 3 days. Ali Bierman also put forth the 8th fastest time of the 22 drivers with a 1:35.394. Team principal Ayo Komatsu noted that the car was reliable and that the team was on target. The team also focused more on long runs than low-fuel glory runs, likely placing Haas at the front of the midfield. So how did the Mercedes, McLaren, and Red Bull fare? For that, you will have to wait for part 2 of our recap coming out later this week. Until then, I hope to see you on the track.